One other supplement video for this weekend's video. I really looked into the indices and where they're at and everything. And just to give a little quick rundown here, the Russell really took it on the chin there Friday. And we came right down right here where we tagged. That was the 21 weekly SMA. And that's where we closed on the 21 weekly, 20 weekly SMA. So, it's basically the same. And that's where we closed at and caught a little bit of responsibility buying there at the very end of the trading session. Now, I'm not a believer in buying off of SMAs. As a general rule, I don't think SMAs are a very good gauge to try to buy a dip. I personally prefer finding a volume point of control VPOC, and that's where the highest point to do business in a trading zone has happened, and that to me is a much more reliable approach to picking a bottom. And in that case, if you're looking at your IWM here, it just looks to me like we still have more downside. 'Cause I like how the fib fan and this VPOC, they kind of merge together right down here near the lows. So I am still thinking that I had said in my other video, I was kind of leaning that we might get a responsive bid up. Well, after hearing the latest Apple news, they've shut down all their stores in China, and that's going to weigh heavily on the markets come Monday. And that news may have already been breaking out Friday with the sell-off, but I had, it was not on the major wires. So if somebody knew something, it was not being public. Traders were not aware of the situation as of Friday. So there should be continued sell-off in Apple, which will impact the overall markets. But yeah, this suggests to me there's going to be more downside come Monday for for the Russell. Yeah, so just keep that in mind going forward here on your trading. And let's see, is there anything here I can discern from the lower time frames? Not really here. So that's just something to keep on your watch if you please. And then we have let's go to our cues real quick. That's our other more speculative area. These areas they have more beta, so they're more likely to take a bigger impact. That's our 20-day, weekly, or 20-day daily. Okay, there you go. 1 second here. Let me see if I can find a better chart. Give me 1 second here. Okay, the cues, the most bullish area of the markets, showing a little bit of problems there. Friday, we were seeing broad liquidation in the cues, and now with that Apple news, that suggests we're going to have a lot more issues here. So over the next few days, I'm thinking we are going to be retesting the 2020 Open. That's our next target for the cues. We're in this rapid volatility area. I'm not saying it's a rapid descent area. I'm just saying it's a rapid volatility area on the cues. So we are in for a much longer period for higher volatility, in my opinion, than what we are accustomed to. So keep that in mind here on the cues. But it looks like we are going to be testing the 50 daily here in not too distant future, in my opinion. And then if we go to our SPY, and we just basically touched our 50 SMA on the daily on our SPY, which typically would mean a responsive bounce. That's why in my other video I was thinking we were going to get a little bounce, but I'm not so sure about that. You see the zone we're trading in right here? I would be much more, see how the fib fan lines up really good with this volume point of control. That makes much more sense that we're going to be coming down to this zone down here over the next few days and tagging our fib fan line. It just seems much more supportive down here than up here on this moving average as a supporting, because I'm sure a lot of traders were buying to the long side on this trend line touch or this moving average touch, thinking that it'll work. And that's not necessarily the case. The real value is down here, in my opinion. So just a couple things I wanted to point out in these markets if going ahead into next week. And coming into this week, I just always like checking out my implied volatilities to see what's really expected to move big this week. And guess what? Tesla's right here at the top of the list again. That's one of the. There's some higher implied volatilities, but I do like looking at the high dollar ones and to see the ones that are really. We got Nvidia earnings must be coming out. I think earnings are out this week. Yeah, Nvidia's earnings haven't even been out yet, but it's got a cheaper implied volatility than Tesla right here. So, yeah, you're playing with Tesla. You're playing with fire on these implied volatilities. Expedia is also really jacked up here on implied volatility because of China, everything going on in China. I'm pretty sure we got Splunk earnings coming out this week. Let's see here if I can get this to scroll down a little bit. So at least for now, we're finally getting down into some reasonable NVIDIA, Splunk. Let's see here. What's this other one? Allergan. Still some really heightened. Allergan's an outlier here, so there must be something going on here. You may want to keep an eye on Allergan because the implied volatility isn't nearly as jacked as the others, and it might be something to an opportunity this week. So I'll have to do a little bit more research on this one here. Oh, it just had its earnings, and the implied volatility hasn't really come out yet. Some of it has, but it looks like it's really not doing much here in the grand scheme of things. Right at the yearly volume point of control. So no, it's not something I would even think about. But that just gives you an idea on the scans. Hey, if anybody wants to scan, I'm more than willing to share the script or the study with anybody who wants it. Just leave me a note at the bottom of the YouTube video. And as far as that goes, any studies that I have in my TOS platform, with the exception of I've got a brand new Market Webs study. I got the latest version. I went and bought it this weekend. And that is one study I am not sharing. So just keep that one in mind. You can have my old version, but not this new one. So, whenever you're paying for a study, you don't want to really give that out. But at any rate, and then also, a lot of your traders, I do want to point out, if you don't have the quads up, you may want to. This is another thing I can share with you if you're interested. Just leave me a note at the bottom of the YouTube channel, and if you would want to have this running in the backdrop. I have also it normally has SPY up, but I got it closed currently. But here's your Russell, and it gives you an idea of your ticks and your advanced decline, your ascending, descending, and sometimes this can really keep you out of a lot of trouble. I actually came out, made some fairly decent money there Friday, and just having this right here, I think, really saved me from getting into a lot of trouble there Friday. Okay, that's all I gotta say. And like I said, like it if you like it. Thanks a lot.